Good morning. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Please remain seated to savor our call to worship, sung by our illustrious choir, No Complaints Whatsoever by J.D. Martin and Jan Garrett, with arrangements by Larry Nickel. Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. Once again, welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are so glad to get together in this loving and vibrant community. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, For this hour, we here are one gathered congregation and all are welcome. My name is Genevieve Emmett, and in the spirit of KUUF's mission, and as we strive to be more inclusive, I offer you this self-description. I have mid-length curly hair and am wearing a red dress with pearl button highlights. Our worship leader this morning is the Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Justin Almeida, who is associated with the Unitarian Universalist Church in Seattle. His chaplaincy training specializes in palliative care, hospice, mental health, trauma, and crisis response. Welcome, Reverend Justin. If you are visiting us this morning, welcome. If you are here in person, we look forward to meeting you, to welcoming you after the service during our coffee hour. If you are attending online, please introduce yourself in the chat. Either way, we are glad you are here. I invite you to follow along in the order of service. For those of you attending virtually, all the links for this service, including the order of service, are on our website and in this morning's worship service email. If you are here in the sanctuary this morning, please silence all your electronic devices. Announcements are available on our website, www.kuuf.org, or in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Squamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Squamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along the Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Squamish live and protect the lands and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
Buenos días y bienvenidos. Good morning. Well, after the choir's song this morning, I mean, that's pretty much the sermon, so we can all go to coffee hour, right? It's a beautiful way to start this day. And of course, my name is the Reverend Justin Almeida. I have no hair, and I'm wearing black-rimmed glasses and am a reasonably tall, mestizo, masculine-presenting person. And we begin our time with these opening words. Welcome to this place of peace. May we find some moments of quiet contemplation. Welcome to this place of celebration. May our hearts soar with gratitude for the gift of life. Welcome to this place of sacred love. May we gently hold all that is broken here. Welcome to this place of inquiry. Here, may we be challenged to open our minds and hearts ever wider. Come into this place of community. May we together draw the circle of love and justice ever wider. Welcome to this sacred space. Come, let us worship, celebrate, grieve, and love together. And we welcome Aaron and Lucy Haver to light our chalice this morning. Good morning. Aaron works from their Port Orchard home in accounting along with their husband Matt, who could not attend this morning, where he works as a Native American educator. Both raise Lucy and dodge toy dinosaurs, and also dodge their kitten Molly. They first attended on Easter 2023 via YouTube and have quickly immerse themselves into KUUF after signing the membership log on June 4th. Thank you. And so, along with our chalice lighting, please join. If you have your own chalices or candles at home, please light them as I read these chalice lighting words by Katie Silvani Gelfand. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude, as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another, and we offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us.
Please join me in our spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Our next hymn is From You I Receive, is sung at some UU congregations during the offering. It was written and composed by brothers Nathan and Joseph Siegel, who were rabbis, singing rabbis in fact, who trace their lineage as singing rabbis back 12 generations. Oy vey, indeed. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 402 in Singing the Living Tradition hymnal, From You I Receive. Now, Melinda Hughes, our Director of Religious Education, will share our time for all ages.
Good morning. Today I am wearing a green, brown, fall-colored shirt and black rimmed glasses. I have red hair. For the month of November, we have been exploring the gift of generosity. And today, the children are going to be exploring this gift, the connection between generosity and hope. The main idea is that when we are generous, we can inspire hope in others. We also look at how our faith invites us to be counterculture during the holidays. In the spirit of generosity, it asks us to shift from wondering, what do I want for Christmas, to ask, what can I give for the winter holidays? And we have that opportunity here at the fellowship. We are currently doing a warm clothing drive. You may have noticed that there's a box out in the foyer. We're collecting hats and gloves, scarves, mittens, things to help people that may be experiencing the cold weather a little more harshly, that we can share with them with our generosity. Today, our story is titled, What is Given from the Heart? And it is by Patricia McKissick and April Harrison. It was a rough few months for Mama and me. We were already poor, but we got poorer last April when Daddy went to sleep on the front porch and never woke up. Mama cried and cried because Daddy didn't have a suit to be buried in. Come June, we lost the farm and moved to a rundown shotgun house in the bottoms. On Friday the 13th, it rained frogs. Everything flooded, and Smitty, my dog, disappeared. Misery love company, Mama said, shaking her head as she swept water out the back door. I hugged her up close the way I always do when she was sad or I was scared. Long as we have our health and strength, we are blessed, James Otis, Mama said, trying to sound brave. But things didn't get any better. We got an early snowfall in November and Christmas was skimpy, but we made it through to the new year. For I realized February was upon us with Valentine's Day just 2 weeks away. On Sunday, Reverend Dennis made an announcement during service. Just as we always do, we'll be delivering love boxes to needy folk in our community, he said. Irene Temple and her little girl have lost everything in a fire. We must add them to our list. Next week, bring whatever you think might be useful to them. Remember, what is given from the heart reaches the heart. James Otis, we need to help out, Mama said on the cold walk home. I came back with, how are we going to do that, Mama? We ain't got nothing ourselves. Mama kept right on talking. Sister Bunch told me the daughter's name is Sarah. She's 7, 2 years younger than you. You can find a little bit of something for her, don't you think? I wasn't convinced. What do I have that a little girl would want? Now, said Mama, remember what Reverend Dennis said. What is given from the heart reaches the heart. That night, I lay warm and toasty under one of Mama's quilts. Still, it made me tremble to think about fire taking away what little we did have. What can I give Sarah to make up for all she's lost, I wondered. I considered the blue ribbon I'd won at the school spelling bee. Nah, the award was important to me, but it would mean nothing to her. I looked over at my beautiful, sparkling rock, the one I found down by the creek. But how would that help Sarah? You can't eat a rock. Unable to come up with anything good, I pulled the covers over my head and drifted off to sleep. Come morning, I found Mama in the kitchen, busy sewing. I know if we had a fire, I would miss my apron, Mama explained. So I've decided to make Mrs. Temple one. But Mama, you're using your white tablecloth, the only nice thing you have. James Otis, I'm stitching with a loving heart. My hope is that this apron will give as much joy to Miss Temple as the tablecloth has given me. Mama's smile was a welcome sight. That made me study harder on what I could contribute. Maybe Sarah would like something to play with, like my whistle from Dexter Benson's birthday party, but my spit was all over it. What about my crayons? I drew so many pictures with them, even though the black, pink, and dark blue were missing. No way, I couldn't give her used crayons, and I couldn't give her my pencil that was just a nub and not much eraser left either. As time flew towards Valentine's Day, I fretted more and more. I considered giving Sarah a puzzle. It didn't bother me that 2 pieces were missing, but it might bother her. That wouldn't do, not even with a bow on it. And neither would my capeless Superman Halloween costume. Then I remembered my book, Things That Roll. Mom had paid 10 cents for it with the resale shop. I read it every night, and I memorized each word. And then I drew pictures of all the stuff that rolled. Sarah might enjoy my book, but maybe she didn't like trucks and marbles and such. Still, it got me to thinking. I gathered my crayons, my pencil, and some paper and got busy. On the Sunday before Valentine's Day, we were off to church. Along the way, Mama told me, as usual, the trustees will deliver the love boxes to the homes of the needy, but Reverend Dennis has invited the Temples to receive theirs at Olive Chapel so they can meet the congregation. The church was full. Mama beamed as she carefully placed the apron in the box. When we presented the Temples with their love box filled with all kinds of clothing, food, tools, and toys, Mrs. Temple was overcome with emotion. The congregation shouted, "Amen." Even so, Sarah seemed sad and afraid. She clung to her mama's arms and hid her face. I walked over to where they were standing. "Hi, Sarah," I said, sounding cheery-like. "My name is James Otis, and I'm pleased to meet you." "Same to you," she answered, looking at her feet. "Here," I said, handing her my gift. "I wrote it, drew the pictures, and put it together by myself, just for you." Sarah managed to smile as she stared at the book I'd made. Then, real slow-like, she read the cover. "From My Heart to Your Heart" by James Otis Petaway. It's about a little girl named Sarah, and "Don't tell me," she said. "I want to read about it by myself." "I can't believe it," she squealed. "A book about me?" Then she covered her mouth to catch a giggle. Seeing little Sarah happy made me happy too. I laughed out loud. "I put some hard words in it so you can look them up." "You sound like my teacher." Sarah pressed the book to her heart, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Thank you, James Otis. I will keep this book forever and ever." Walking home, Mama held my hand. "The Temples looked very grateful," she said. "I think we reached their hearts," I said. Mama nodded. "I'm proud of you, James Otis." "How come?" I asked. "'Cause you're you." In winter, night comes early. The sky was darkening, and it had started to snow. I stuck my tongue out to catch a snowflake as Mama spun joyfully round and round. Suddenly, Mama stopped. "Look, there's something on our porch," she said. I rushed ahead, and there it was. A love box had been delivered to us. And our hearts rejoiced. Our hearts rejoiced. So, hopefully you will have the opportunity this month and through December and onward to be generous and to give. What we give from our heart touches the heart. And to take a little teeny sidestep, this coming up Saturday, the Children's Religious Education Committee and Fun and Frolic are hosting an open house here at the fellowship from 1 to 4. We hope you can join us, bring instruments, play music, decorate a tree, and just have a jolly old time. And with that, will you please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our children along their way.
So I'm going to try and pull myself away from that book. I apologize. Touches my heart. So, we gather as a religious community to each one of us to a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As a part of our mission that inspires us both to act on our beliefs, we share our offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services in our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of November is the Q Youth Resource. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations placed in the basket will go to Q Youth Resource. If you would like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes you were provided in your order of service when you came into the sanctuary. For those of us joining online, you may go to our website, kuuf.org, and select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. If this is your first time at KUUF, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is presence enough. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us. Let us enjoy the gift of music from our music coordinator, Brian Kenny, as he plays Simple Gifts, arranged by Liz Story. is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. Diana Blair has a sorrow and a joy. Her sorrow is that her dad had a stroke early Wednesday morning. Her joy is that he seems to be doing fine and should be back home in a few days. Hilda Berlinget has a joy that she is celebrating 81 trips around the sun today. She is grateful to be alive and well. Terry Looney's sorrow is more of a disruption than a sorrow, just a nasty cold. Her joy is that Margaret Wilder has agreed on short notice to bring the altar flowers this Sunday in her place. Thank you, Margaret. Rowan and Chris have a joy that they got engaged up at Mount Rainier last weekend. They are thankful that they met at KUUF. Jessica Demick's sister, Maria, has a joy that Jessica is healing well after the surgery was a success. So, yay. And Bonner's joy is for the return of the KUUF Thanksgiving Day potluck. 16 people attended, and considering the late notice, that is a success indeed. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share.
I invite you all into a spirit of peace, prayer, and meditation. Spirit of life and love, creator of all names and of none, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Perhaps the greatest and most perfect prayer we can ever say is thank you. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in the gray hymnal. The words will also appear on the screen.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel. I'm the son of Kimberly Stewart. I'm 13 years old, have brown hair, and am wearing a black sweater. From the book of Mark, chapter 6, verses 30 through 44, the apostles met up with Jesus after their long journey amid towns and communities. Jesus said, "Come off by yourselves. Let's take a break and get a little rest." For there was constant coming and going. They didn't even have time to eat. So they got in the boat and went off to a remote place by themselves. Someone saw them going, and the word got around. From the surrounding towns, people went out on foot, running, and got there ahead of them. When Jesus arrived, he saw this huge crowd. At the sight of them, his heart broke. Like sheep with no shepherd, he went right to work teaching them. When his disciples thought this had gone on long enough, it was now quite late in the day. They interrupted. "We are a long way out in the country, and it is very late. Pronounce a benediction and send these folks off so they can get some supper." Jesus said, "You do it. Fix supper for them." They replied, "Are you serious? You want us to go spend a fortune on food for their supper?" But he was quite serious. "How many loaves of bread do you have? Take an inventory." They didn't take long. 5, they said, plus 2 fish. Jesus got them all to sit down in groups. They looked like a patchwork quilt of wildflowers spread out on the green grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, lifted his face to heaven in prayer, blessed, broke, and gave the bread to his disciples. And the disciples, in turn, gave it to the people. He did the same with the fish, and everyone had enough to eat. The disciples gathered 12 baskets of leftovers, and more than 5,000 people were at the supper. Now please join me in a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music, sung by our beloved choir, Spirit of Miracles, by Mike Menifee.
Okay.
once again, there is no need for a sermon. Um, I really appreciate our music this morning. It does fit the words that I am going to share with you all. It really is a blessing to be able to be here on Sunday with my family and with you all. It's always an honor because I work on Sundays at the hospital, and I don't normally get a lot of Sunday church myself, so this is extra special. This morning, I am bringing a theme of grace and charity, and how generosity is a moral obligation that flows out of gratitude. Before we begin, I invite us all into a brief pause to consider, for what am I grateful today? In one breath, let us give thanks. As a person with indigenous and Mesoamerican ancestry, the history and modern practice of American Thanksgiving feels uncomfortable. It's an old story of the definition of safety, survival, conquest, mixed with a mythos of gratitude and generosity. The reality is that Thanksgiving, like many of our American holidays, is complicated. And the Thanksgiving story continues in our world because it's still dealing with what borders and land and mine means. Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the list is long. What can we do from half a world away? Our seventh principle reminds us that we are all interconnected in the tapestry of life. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. Especially when life and death are involved. This is a content warning. I will be talking about death. I will also be talking about life. We can do this together, and we can do hard things. From birth, our brains are wired to respond to the well-being and suffering of other people. And because of how we're raised, we internalize concepts of right and wrong, justice and harm. Our experiences challenge us, sometimes changing our core beliefs. It took me traveling to different countries and encountering human diversity to find my way to our Unitarian Universalist faith and to realize just how blessed I really am. This Thanksgiving Day, I received a text message from a friend asking me to deliver grace for the Thanksgiving meal. This is a common occupational hazard for a minister. I took time to contemplate my life, my placement in the world, and my feelings for the day and the moment. These are the words that I found. There is so much to be thankful for. I woke up this morning alive and loved. I woke up healthy and free from suffering. I woke up with food, shelter, and security. I woke up with friends, community, and meaningful work. I did not earn much of these. Today could have been otherwise. Generosity is the only prayer I know that is a sufficient way to say thank you. for all these blessings. Peace be with you all on this day of giving thanks. Saying grace may seem a little archaic now. I really don't know how many people do it anymore. It's a tradition in my family that I received from my mother and father. When we sat down for a meal, we always gave thanks, and often in the form of a prayer with the acknowledgement that what was on the table in front of us was in fact a gift from the earth, from plants and animals, from laborers, from communities. Yes, my partner and I worked for the money from which to buy the meal, and that is also a radical privilege. It takes a community to set a table. Grace has its root in the Latin word gratus, which is where we get our word gratitude, and it has multiple translations: favor, thanks, pleasing, agreeableness. It developed from an older Indo-European word meaning to praise or to welcome in. In some Latin-based languages, gratus transformed into ways of saying thank you. For the Mexican side of my family, we say gracias, which can be understood literally as saying, you grace me, especially when I receive some goodness from you, like the cup of tea I enjoyed this morning. Grace as a spiritual theme is receiving an unknown and unexpected gift, often unasked for and unearned. For many spiritual traditions, grace is the source of all good things outside of my control. In the Jewish religion, a morning prayer is said before getting out of bed each and every day, known as the Modeh Ani. In English, it reads, I thank you, living and enduring Creator, for you have graciously returned my soul within me. Great is your faithfulness. This prayer is the Jewish acknowledgement that each day is a gift of life, and that one's life is ultimately on loan from the great Hashem. This is the same lesson I've learned in my hospital ministry. I remember when 2 patients died within an hour of each other. One had a devastating aneurysm. The death was relatively expected. The other patient threw a clot into their brain on the day they were supposed to be discharged. Their rooms were across from one another. And I moved back and forth between families in shock and grief and loss. And then afterwards, I moved back and forth between the care providers who, because of their own experiences, were also in grief and shock. And when I finally returned to the spiritual care office, I sat alone and tried to make sense of what had just happened. None of it seemed fair. Everyone did everything they could. It would be easy to see no good in this situation, except because I'm the chaplain, I looked for grace. Both patients were kept alive long enough for family to be able to say goodbye. We had full staffing that day. A Catholic priest was able to come for last rites for one of the patients. We had technology to connect loved ones far away and from vast distances so they could say goodbye. If death was inevitable, there was still grace in that space. I am convinced that there is no underlying rule in the universe dictating fairness in the course of life and death. I have seen human beings that should have died but didn't, and others whose deaths make absolutely no sense. I've held a miscarried child in my hands for baptism after death. And I've also comforted 5 generations as they say goodbye to their 100-year-old matriarch. The meaning I make from this is that every day in which I am alive is a gift, because it could have been otherwise. I'm well acquainted with the otherwise. 5 years ago tonight, my father went to sleep. Healthy, happy, loved, and for some reason I don't understand, he didn't wake up. I had been that family member rushing against time to be at bedside. I was able to make it, as they say, by the grace of God. For me, a spiritual practice of gratitude has helped me move through grief. Because when the pain emerges unexpectedly like an ocean wave, powerful and unstoppable, I turn toward what I can control. The pain is inevitable. Perhaps my suffering is not. I understand grief as a normal part of being human, and the price I pay for living and loving. I say, gracias to the grief for reminding me of my father, the man who helped give me life and gave me love. I am grateful for his many imperfect and amazing years, his struggles with addiction, his holy hospitality, his terrifying anger, and his humble generosity. I give thanks for his being in the world and recognize that he was a gift I did not ask for. And I am grateful for his blessing, for the hard lessons. And I get to choose what my father's life will mean for my life. Which is what brings me to my ministry in the hospital, where I am surrounded by physical, emotional, and spiritual suffering, and because I know pain, not the same pain, never the same experience, but a similar, universal human suffering, I am able to accompany those in crisis. I can be the unanxious, non-judgmental presence for patients and families and caregivers that I wish could have been there for me. And it is the spiritual practice of grace that allows me to draw from my own pain and transform it into empathy. I remember to take a moment to breathe, and reflect on the question, how will I use my gift of life today? Which is the locus of my agency, as Viktor Frankl found in his experiences in the concentration camps. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. When I can remember that right now, in this moment, I am alive through no will of my own other than the miracle of life and biology and situation, I find clarity in what to do. I choose charity. And charity, like grace, is a word rooted in Latin, caritas, meaning unconditional love, care for the well-being of another, the gift of compassion. Caritas was the Latin Vulgate translation of the Greek agape. And in Greek, there are many different words for love: eros, the love between husband and partner; philios, the love between friends; and agape, the unselfless, unselfish, giving love between God and humanity, and between humanity and itself. Agape is a spiritual concept and has been used in circles for thousands of years. Caritas, as a derivative of agape, was also part of the Latin carus, meaning dear, beloved, precious, valued, costly, and expensive. Truly, this is the definition of charity. Charity began with much more spiritual roots than how we use it today. For Christianity, charity is known as the highest spiritual gift because it's love. And that all we have belongs to God, and that all we give in our lives is a response to that gift. For Muslims, the spiritual command of charity, known as zakat, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and is mandatory for all adults of means. The spirituality of charity is the belief that the gifts of life and love be shared, not hoarded, and that all human beings have an obligation to share the wealth, because it could be otherwise. This is the spiritual gift of charity, a reminder that not only is my own life a gift, but so are all the other human beings that I'm surrounded by. Charity challenges the big capitalist lie of scarcity, that there is not enough of anything. And it replaces scarcity with abundance. As we heard in the story earlier today of Jesus and his disciples with the loaves and fishes, so many people focus on the miracle. For me, the miracle was that they tried. They gave. Jesus said, "Feed them." And everybody was like, "With what?" There was enough. That's the miracle. There was enough. Charity replaces scarcity with abundance. In my travels and work around the world, I've found that the most charitable people in the world are often the most impoverished, because they realize that survival and thriving is not an individual sport. It's a communal effort. And this is deeply uncomfortable for our culture because we have beliefs around who is worthy of charity. And these beliefs are rooted in a national ethic of self-sufficiency and privilege, wrapped up in a Protestant work ethic of phrases like, "God helps those who help themselves," and "you reap what you sow." Theologically, these phrases derive from Calvinist and Puritan beliefs that God rewards the good and righteous with wealth and bounty and punishes those undeserving with poverty. It does not take a master of divinity to recognize the cognitive dissonance between charity as the ultimate form of love and how we punish those who are poor of body, mind, and spirit. I experience this dissonance when I harden my heart to those asking for help. I harden my heart because I judge. Because sometimes these people scare me. Because sometimes I want to run away from their reminder of poverty. And in our culture, that's a scary thing. When I reflect on the dissonance, I find my practice of grace leads to the compassionate softening of my spirit. Because much of what separates my life and the lives of others is the accident of time, place, circumstance, and luck. My life could be otherwise. And what affects one directly affects all indirectly, in charity and in punishment. Our own Unitarian Universalist faith believes in charity as a moral response to grace. One only looks to our 8 principles to see that we aspire as a people to remove any barriers that deny the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. This is countercultural to our American work ethic. What would my life look like if I truly believed that unhoused people had worth and dignity? That addicts have worth and dignity? That murderers have worth and dignity? That I have worth and dignity? And that you, all of you, have worth and dignity. I believe our faith and our lives would look like charity, where human beings had their needs met because any one human being's suffering would impact the well-being of all other human beings. We would give out of love, not for what a person has done, but for the sheer fact that a human being is in need. And it could be so easy through accident or intention for me to end up in desperation, hoping and praying that someone, anyone, would show me charity. And what I wouldn't give for one person to look at me when my heart is broken and I am angry and afraid and hurting and say, I'm here. What do you need? Friends, I'm not saying that the moral responsibility of charity means giving away all that I own and relinquishing all material possessions, though some may choose to do this. My moral responsibility of charity does not mean fixing people. It doesn't mean evaluating deservedness. Charity need not be perfect nor absolute. Charity does ask that I be faithful to grace. And this fidelity is a choice of compassion in every encounter I have throughout the day, learning how to get out of my head and into my heart and see myself in the stranger, in the world, and in the wide tapestry of all of existence. Siblings in faith, all we have is today. and what we do with it. There are no atoms of generosity or particles of gratitude. It's up to us to make these a reality. The universe is largely uncaring to our plans and desires. Life does seem to respond to our actions. And we participate in the act of creation when we choose to manifest grace and charity. Because each moment is a moment where empathy did not exist until I did something with it. Each moment of love did not exist until I showed up with it. Each moment of grace does not exist until we acknowledge it and we respond to it. As we move into the holiday season, may we all find spiritual practices of gratitude that help transform us into more generous people. May life continue to grace us with breath every single morning. And may we choose charity in response to the life and love we are given. Truly, today is a blessing. And so I leave you with these words of the poet and prophet Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth rather than up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now, she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now, she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon? Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? May it be so. Amen. And now, please rise in body or in spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 1010. In the blue hymnals, we give thanks, and the words will appear on the screen. Please be seated. Now for the best part of the service, after the service is over, please exit through the foyer. The monthly potluck will be served there. You are welcome to bring your plate of food and drinks back into the sanctuary as soon as the pews are struck and the tables are set up. And here are our closing words and the extinguishing of our chalice. Go in peace. Live simply, at home in yourself. Be just in your word and your deed. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Do not forget your power in the days of your powerlessness, and do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and never stint your hand of charity. Practice forbearance in all that you do. Speak the truth in kindness. Take care of your body, be good to it, it is a good gift. Crave peace for peoples in this world, beginning with yourselves, and go as you go with the dream of that peace set firm in your hearts. Go in peace, siblings in faith. Go in peace to love and serve this world. Amen.